next guest speaker will brief us about the navigating the entrepreneur's journey to the global growth. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Kanwal is the Pakistani Australian, founded a tech startup called My Impact Meter, which she leads as the CEO now. She is also a part of founding team of a tech startup in the Silicon Valley, which is really great, which got 33.5 million USD A funding, and she is also the president of Overseas Pakistani Entrepreneurs Opens Lahore chapter. So give her a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. This is the achievement you will be getting in future, inshallah. Ladies and gentlemen, she is right now working for the public and private sector to create opportunities for the enhancement of entrepreneurship, startup, IT export, and investment in Pakistan. Please welcome the inspirational personality, Ms. Kanwal Malik, on stage.
All right, we've got quite a few. And how many foreigners do we have? Because I need to see what language okay? And we've got a few here. So I think we'll stick to English then, because we've got foreigners and we just need to respect that they understand what I'm trying to say here as well. So my name is Kanwal Cheema. You've already heard the introduction. I was with a company called Cisco. Do you guys know what Cisco is? So Cisco is a multi-billion dollar, it's a multinational company. It's a $160 billion company. I worked at Cisco for 16 years. Started in Cisco in Amsterdam in 2005. And most recently, I was a global director at Cisco based out of Sydney, but leading global accounts, so traveled quite a bit. And then I came back to Pakistan in 2020. I also became part of the founding team of another startup that has a valuation of $500 million now. It's based in the Silicon Valley. We've managed to raise $96 million in 2 rounds for that startup. And the reason I live in Pakistan is because of this company, My Impact Meter. I'm really passionate about this. This is a startup which digitalizes charity, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more later on. But before I start, you know what is the difference between an entrepreneur and someone who is working in a stable job somewhere? Do you guys want to give it a shot? So what's the difference? Yeah, please. Very nice. Very good, very good. I really like your answer. The only part I didn't like is the he part. Why not she? So the entrepreneur is somebody who takes a lot of risks and has to wear a lot of different hats. Anybody else? Yeah? Yes. Yes. So basically, what you're trying to say is that an entrepreneur finds problems and then finds opportunities in those problems, knows the why of what he or she is doing, while somebody who's working in a job just kind of does what processes are well defined and they kind of do what they have to do in a day's work. They don't really think about the why of what they're doing and don't really think about the underlying problem that they're trying to solve. All right. Anybody else wants to take a stab at? Yeah, go ahead, please.
So, entrepreneur is basically a person who does what he decides to do. And in the job, as you said, that the processes are streamlined and there is simply, it simply works on the principle of do as directed.
Exactly. So an entrepreneur has to navigate his or her own journey, has to find the path, has to decide what to do, whereas a person who's doing a job has the path already defined for them, right? So these are all very good answers. So what I'm hearing is basically an entrepreneur is somebody who deals with a lot of unpredictability, right? Who deals with a lot of unpredictability, who has to wear many hats at the same time, who does not have well-defined processes, who can just not go with maybe like a proper, like a deck that is already prepared, has to learn on the job, has to be very agile. So the entrepreneur is somebody who needs to have a very solid compass, a navigation map that kind of guides them to where they're going. An entrepreneurial journey, because it's got so much unpredictability, so much risk, so much uncertainty, lot of uncertainty. So, I'll tell you one thing about myself. When I'm here on the stage and I see people talking, I get nervous. So when I see people engaged in their phone and talking, I honestly get very, very nervous. So you have to, when I'm here on stage, please give me the respect and listen for some time. And then when I'm done, you can do all the phone navigation and all the talking and everything else that you need to do. And if I see somebody doing that, I'll point and I'll start calling you out. All right? All right. So you need a compass. You need a map, right? There's something that when you start your journey, when I started my journey, I was with Cisco for a very long time. And then when you grow in a job, when you become a director, you become kind of like an entrepreneur in a big company as well, right? So what happens is that you, at that time, have to start kind of working as an entrepreneur, even though you're working somewhere, you're in a job. But when you get at a director level position, you have to, start building things. There sometimes the maps get very blurry. So I had to deal with a lot of uncertainty. And when you start dealing with uncertainty, you know what happens? The funny thing that happens is that your grit, your patience as a person, as who you are, starts getting challenged as well. When you have everything really well defined, you get up each morning, you brush your teeth, you follow your normal routine, you go to your job, you have your tasks well defined, you do them. You don't really question what life is. You don't really question if you're living by design or if you're living your life by default. But when you become an entrepreneur, you have to, or you're put in the arena where you have to ask yourself the tough questions. What is it that what is that most important thing for me? What is my epicenter? What is my core? You ask yourself those questions. Am I living my life by default? Am I a puppeteer whose strings are in the hands of somebody else? Or am I defining my own path? Am I living my life by design or by default? You have to ask yourself, and there's so many founders in this room. I'm sure that you guys have asked this to yourself. So this talk today, this session today, it's going to be in a couple of parts. I wanted to set this stage, this background, but what we're going to go into now is to discover. I'm going to take you into a journey, ask you some of the very tough questions. And the reason I want you to give your full attention is because there will be a lot of introspection. You guys will have to look deep into your souls and ask yourselves some very tough questions. So I'll just tell you how this talk will navigate first so you know what to expect. First of all, we're going to talk about a concept called epicenter. And we're going to try and discover what that is and what that is for you, what that should be, and how that kind of changes and navigates your life. Second, we're going to talk about a concept called pursuit. What are we in pursuit of? The quest of our lives. Third, we're going to talk about finding purpose in our life. And fourth, then we're going to touch about how you can be disruptive. How you can go from first mastering yourself and then into global growth. So let me just go right to the end first, and then I'll come back to the beginning. I did my MBA from Australia. And, you know, there is this concept in MBA where they say that the large companies, so there's this graph where the market movers and shakers are those who have a large chunk of the market already. They own the market. They have a large market share. Those are the movers and the shakers. This was true up until 10 years ago or 15 years ago. But then this changed. For the past 100 years, before 15 years, this was true. But now this has significantly changed. And what is the reason for that? Can anybody tell me what is the reason for the fact that now even very small companies, a company that starts out small, can completely change the map of this world? Social media, but what about social media itself? It's basically technology, right? So technology has given the power to very small startups to completely come and disrupt the giants, right? So what is Netflix? Netflix used to be a very small rental company. And in 2000, the year 2000, Netflix had a presentation which they couldn't make it to the presentation in time, so they actually got a charter plane and they spent thousands of dollars and they went and presented in front of the Blockbuster CEO. And the proposal was that Blockbuster buys them for $50 million. And what happened was that the Blockbuster CEO just kind of laughed it away. Like, this business model is never gonna work. Because, well, they said, we're gonna do the online part for you and you can do the shop front part. And the Netflix CEO just laughed it out. He said, oh no, this isn't gonna work. And where is Netflix today and where is Blockbuster today? So that small little company completely came and annihilated Blockbuster, which was a multi-billion-dollar company at that point in time, right? And then what happened when digital photography came? What did it do to Kodak? Yeah? So there's a lot of examples. I can go on and on and on. How Facebook started very small, how Google started very small, how they were just like college startup projects, just like a lot of you, like college startups, but they went and they completely changed the map of the world because of technology. And we'll go there, right there. So this was the end. Now let's rewind and come back to what we were talking about in the beginning. Because let me tell you, and I've been in this field for a very, very long time. I've worked in a multinational. I've worked across geographies. I've worked in Europe. I've worked in Africa for a little while. I've worked in the Middle East for quite a long time. I've worked in Australia. I've worked in the USA. And when I started out in Amsterdam, I was in a program where there were 130 people from 59 different countries. 59 different countries, and we had just graduated. And let me tell you, there were people from Palestine and Israel in the same cohort. We were together. 130 people from 59 different countries. And at the end of the day, what was a stark discovery for me was that people are very much the same. We feel the same. We have the same nuances. We have the same kind of the emotion roller coaster rides that we go through. We're very much fundamentally the same, right? Obviously, there are some cultural differences, but the difference is more at the human level. Like, you are different from her, she's different from you, but not really more at the country level. So this hasty generalization that we do that, oh, Pakistanis are like that, or Africans are like that, this one is that, that's hasty generalization, which is a logical fallacy in my opinion, right? So that's why it's very important to come back and really question. When I went through a very tough phase in my professional and personal life, I used to find myself, sitting at 3 a.m. in a deserted park all by myself. That was how, I don't even want to say what the problem was. We'll go into a complete rat hole. But I went through a very tough situation. And at that time, I realized that at the core of it, that tough situation was because my epicenter was misplaced. So what is epicenter? Epicenter is that one thing that you care about, or that is at your goal, at your center, which is the most important thing for you. Your behavior is driven by what your epicenter is. What you do, your decisions are driven by what your epicenter is. How you spend your time is driven by what your epicenter is, right? And normally, most of us don't even really know consciously. There's a subconscious level and there's a conscious level. And at the conscious level, we don't even know what it is. Because most of the time, our subconscious has programmed it into us. So very long ago, I read a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. How many of you have read it? Has anybody read it? You have read it? Very nice. Anybody else in the audience? You have read it? So Stephen R. Covey says in that book, he's the author, he says that there's a difference between animals and humans. Animals, when they get a stimulus, or plants even, when they get a stimulus, they respond to that stimulus and they have no choice. They respond in a similar way every time. So if you put a green plant and you put sun on one side, the green plant will always grow towards that sun, the light. It will never grow the other way. It doesn't have a choice. But the difference between animals, plants, and humans is that human beings have that choice. So between every stimulus and response, the human being has a choice to either reject or accept that response. Okay? So what is the stimulus? What do I mean by stimulus? What is the stimulus for a human being? What could be, huh? It could be our upbringing. It could be, how we are raised. It could be our genetics even. It could be our external factors, our peer pressure, who our friends are. It could be where we went to, what college we went to, what we were taught. It could be what our teachers believed in, what the religion that we were born into, what the teachings of that religion. I mean, there's so much that goes on when a person is growing up. And all of those are stimuli. And so our response kind of becomes very, we grow up into being conditioned by our environment. And that epicenter, our experiences, kind of start dictating what our epicenter is. And sometimes we don't even realize what it is. And that, what you were saying, so money, fame, power could be in our epicenter. It could be, our family could be in our epicenter. Our family is the most important thing for us. It could be this, what people think of us. It could be, I want to be cool. I want to be the best, most likable person in the room, always. And all your behavior, your decisions, everything is just driven by that wanting to be liked, especially in this age of social media where everything's kind of displayed and everything's out there. Our epicenter could be our desire to be the most lovable person. It could be approval of our parents. It could be wanting to be just ultra rich. I want to be like Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, who are the richest people in the world. That's what I want to be. So money could be your epicenter. It could be another person. It could be, a sweetheart or something. It could even be, that this one girl or this one boy is the most important person in my world, and all my actions are driven by, that love or attraction. It could be the approval of my parents, that my parents' approval is the most. What is the problem with all of these epicenters? Huh? So, if your family, let's say, is the most important thing for you, right? You're a mother and your children are the most important. What if that child dies? What happens to you? Your life finishes, right? Okay, let's say your work is at your epicenter. How is your life being spent? Your business, you're all entrepreneurs, you're founders. So, what if your business is at your epicenter? What happens then? Does your mental health suffer? Does your physical health suffer? Does your family suffer? Can you be balanced in life? No, right? So, what should be your epicenter? So, Stephen R. Covey in his book doesn't talk about epicenter per se, but he talks about this concept of principles. He talks about this concept of unchanging principles, right? For me being a Muslim, I believe that this universe can be divided into two parts. What are those two parts? Huh? Yeah, one that, but universe itself can be divided into two parts, which is the creation and the creator, right? So everything is in the realm of creation, and there's only one in the realm of creator. At least that is congruent to what my beliefs are. Somebody else can have different beliefs. And, your principles, your beliefs, what is unchanging? You need to ask yourself, what is it? Principles? What is it? For me, the reason I say creator and creation, and the reason I look at the universe like that, is because everything that's in the realm of creation is what is its problem? It's finite. It has a beginning, it has an end, right? It has, it's not perfect. Its potential is not unlimited. But what are the qualities of the creator? No beginning, no end, limitless, infinite, perfect. So what happens is when you put something that is ever changing, your family, your work, your fame, your money, whatever, in your epicenter, that thing has a limitation. And you are limited by the limitation of that particular epicenter. So no matter how hard you try. So imagine I was climbing a mountain and somebody said, oh, take this rope. This rope is going to hold you up. And I say, no, there are twigs on the way. If I'm about to fall, I'm just going to hold on to a twig. So what happens when I'm about to fall and I hold on to a twig? What happens? That twig breaks. I fall. I probably die. Is it the fault of the twig? No. The twig was never designed to hold on to my weight. The twig was never designed to be the all bearer for me, right? Because it's in the realm of creation. So when you think about what your epicenter is, if you as an entrepreneur want to be unlimited, if you, at least you're in the realm of creation, you can never be unlimited. But at least if you want to have the potential to be unlimited. So when I start something, if I start something with my own, keeping my own health in my epicenter, or my own good looks, or my own, the fact that I am so intelligent and I've got all this experience and all that, what if something happens to me? Some days are bad, some days are good. I'm not really my 100% in all days. But when I keep something that's unchanging, for me that's God. For you, it could be some if you're not, if you don't believe in a God, it could be unchanging principles. For Stephen R. Covey, he talks about these unchanging principles. But it has to be something that's solid, that's unchanging, right? That's infinite, that's limitless, that is perfect. And then you will have the potential. When you are in your bad days as well, you will have the potential to be unlimited. You will have the potential, and what else will happen? We were talking about the fact that when something is, when your jobs or when your businesses are at your epicenter, you don't find balance in life. You don't find, you don't, your health suffers, your family suffers. But when unchanging, something like that, when God becomes your epicenter, or when your principles become your epicenter, what happens? Your life becomes extremely balanced. Extremely balanced. Everything gets put in its right place. Your family gets put in its right place. Your health gets put in its right place. Your business, whatever your venture is, gets put in its right place. When you start being balanced, at that time you will find that everything, because when you put that weight on that twig suffers and breaks as well. And it's the same with your business. When you become so married to your business, when your business becomes your epicenter, I can write this for you, that business will suffer as well, because you will not be objectively able to look at it. You will never be able to really pivot or see when you're failing. You will not be logical in your analysis of the market forces and external forces and whatever is happening around it. So it is very important to find the right epicenter, put it in your core, put it in your middle, let your life revolve around that. Everything else in your life becomes balanced. So imagine your life was a very big structure, it was a building. All of these things, your family, your health, your children, your job, your business, your money, these are all bricks. They start being put in their right place in that structure so that the finished product is solid, beautiful, and has the best foundations. Right? So I will give you just 2 minutes. Think about it. What is at your epicenter? What is it that keeps you up at night? What is it that is the most important thing for you? Think about it. It normally only is. So there was a lot of research done on it, and they found that mostly it is one. For people, and they sometimes don't even realize it. It's not even in the conscious mind, it's subconscious. But it's only one. And sometimes people who don't have it are very empty people. Those are the people that go and commit suicide. Because they've kind of found everything. You know why celebrities go and commit suicides? I mean, they have the fame, they have everything, but they find that they're empty from inside. They have nothing to look forward to. होता है change, बिल्कुल change होता है. Normally, one is the most important. And sometimes you really have to dig inside yourself to find what it is. Yes. So maybe success, pursuit of success might be your epicenter, right? Pursuit of success might be your epicenter. So everyone has it, and it's normally one thing that is the most important thing that dictates everything else. Now we'll move on to the second part, which is how can you change your epicenter? Once you find what it is, how do you change? It's not for the faint of heart. It's very, very, very difficult to change your epicenter. It takes a lot. Sometimes it is a very, very tragic event that happens in your life that jolts you to the core and makes you realize what your epicenter is and makes you change it. So, I mean, I don't want to give a religious talk over here because I don't know. I mean, there would be a lot of people who would have different faiths and stuff. But different religions, in Christianity, in Islam, in a lot of different religions, there's this concept of God bringing you back to Him through tragedy, through pain, through different events in your life. And that is exactly what it is. That is exactly this jolt that you get, this tragedy that you get that brings you back to Him is basically when your epicenter is misplaced. When your epicenter is something other than Him. And that's the concept in many religions. So, why go through the tragedy? If we know knowing is half the, knowing a problem is half the solution, as they say. So when you know about it, discover it yourself, find what it is, and then get on a journey to start to change it. And then we'll move on to the second part, which is your pursuit or your quest. Your quest in life. So, like I said, when you're in the pursuit when you're a kid, when you're a little child, you will go out and pursue candies, toys, happiness. That's what's going to give you, just pursuit of fun, pursuit of playfulness. And unfortunately, that's the pursuit of happiness. And this pursuit of happiness is so glorified. There's a whole movie around, there's a Will Smith movie around the pursuit of happiness. Pursuit of happiness is such a shallow pursuit. You give me chocolate right now and I'll be happy. What kind of a pursuit is that, honestly? Not a very, difficult pursuit to have in life. So I think, even a child is in pursuit of happiness, and when you grow up, you should grow up. Your pursuit should mature as well, not stay stuck on that pursuit of happiness. So what are some of the other pursuits? When you go into university, pursuit of cool becomes this high school. Pursuit of cool. I need to be the coolest person around, the yo person, the person who everybody likes. That becomes a very important pursuit. Pursuit of money, pursuit of fame. And then there's the pursuit of excellence, where, I have to be really good, what you said, where you're after success. So that's the pursuit of excellence, right? Where you really want to, if you want to get success, you have to be excellent at whatever you're doing. And pursuit of excellence is a very noble pursuit. But what is better than the quest of excellence? When you're in the quest of excellence, you are not in competition with anybody else. You're in competition with yourself. You set your own goals, and you have to achieve them, right? So what is more noble? Pursuit of excellence. Can I ask the lady over there to please stop talking and listen to the talk? Otherwise, you can step out if you want to talk. So the pursuit of excellence, like I said, is a very noble pursuit. What is better than the pursuit of excellence? Pursuit of satisfaction, that's a very noble pursuit, yeah?
For me, the best pursuit is whatever you do, make others around you happy, not make other people's lives better.
That's
If you are excellent, it doesn't mean that the other people have to be. So for me, it is bringing happiness in your immediate sphere.
very good. So in other words, what you're saying is the pursuit of impact, right? So the pursuit of impact is one of the most, in my opinion, and like you rightly said, the most noblest of pursuits. As entrepreneurs, we are all going to be solving some problem. We are all going to be solving, we're all going to be bringing something into this world. It could be the same thing, but it's just how you think about it. When you change that switch in your brain on this thing that I'm doing, this problem that I'm solving, this venture that I'm going after is actually going to help people or going to create this impact in the world. Because I came into the world, I'm going to leave this world in a slightly better place. So the life of this universe is billions of years. Yes? The life of this universe is billions of years. Yes? And our life, 60, 70, 80, 90 years? So what if the life of this universe was 1 year? How much would our life be? Extrapolate. Nanoseconds. So when you extrapolate the life of the universe to be 1 year, your life is nanoseconds. So it's like you're a dot that disappears even before you've had a chance to fully appear. Yeah? So how can we make our dot linger? Through our businesses, through what we founded, through what we left behind. How can that dot linger? How can it keep on being there even after we're physically not in this world anymore? So there is a dua that Hazrat Suleiman made, which is, "O Allah, forgive me, and grant me a kingdom the like of which was never seen before me, and the like of which will never come after me." And when I read that dua, it messed with my brain. Why? Because, when you look at the dua, it's a very worldly dua. He's saying, give me this kingdom in the world. I thought prophets were supposed to ask for their hereafter. But when you really understand it, you realize that he understood what his skill was, what his potential was, what he was good at. And so he asked God for something that he knew if he was given that, he would be able to create so much impact that would be felt for thousands and thousands of years after he was gone. In his 60, 70, 80, whatever his life was, he would never be able to earn so much or get to that point or get to that elevation. But if he was given that kind of a kingdom, he would leave behind something that was so powerful that would keep his legacy alive for thousands of years after. All of us as founders need to ask ourselves, what is it that we are really good at? What is it that where we can really make a difference? There's this Japanese concept called ikigai. Who knows about ikigai? A couple of people here know about ikigai. Does anybody want to take a shot at kind of describing what it is? Who wants to take a shot? No, lots of people know, but people are shying to take it. If you put yourself out there, you're better than everybody else because you've at least had the confidence to put yourself out there. So, yes, please. Well, kind of, but not really. So, Ikigai is about finding purpose in life. It's about combining 4 things. Something that you're good at, something that you can be paid for, something that is good, something that you love, and something that's good for the world. What you're good at is your vocation. What you can be paid for is your profession. What you love is your passion. And what is good for the world is your mission. So it's finding, as founders, as CEOs, as entrepreneurs, it is very important for each and every one of us to find what our ikigai is. What is it that we're good at, that we can be paid for, that is good for the world, and that we love to do? When you find the intersection of those four things, that is what your business should be around. That is what your passion, your project should be around. Because that is something that what you can do, nobody else can do. You will be the best at doing that thing. Nobody else will do it as good as you will. Right? So find your ikigai. So where were we? We started with finding your epicenter. You have to ask yourself, look inside, really dig deep inside your soul. Find your epicenter. Fix your pursuit. Go after the pursuit of impact. Quest of impact. Find your ikigai. And this is easy said. I mean, in the past, I've already had, how much time have I already used? How much time have I already used? I've already spoken for 45 minutes? Oh my God. All right, I better wrap this quickly. But in the past 45 minutes, we've just talked about these concepts, and they are, I mean, I've just taken 45 minutes to talk about them, but they, for you, when you go and reflect upon them, will not take 45 minutes. It will take a lot more. So I'm going to jump right, I'm going to wrap up in 5 minutes. I'm going to jump, and I'm sorry for taking so much time, but I'm going to jump right at the global side of things. When I said, you know, in Alice in the, how many of you have seen Alice in Wonderland? Have seen Alice in Wonderland? What does the Red Queen say? You remember the Red Queen races? The Red Queen, you know the film. The Red Queen says, in this place, you have to run as fast as you can to stay in the same place. Does that really sum up an entrepreneur's journey? You have to run as fast as you can to stay in the same place. So the point is that you have to find what it is that is really disruptive. And so when I did my MBA, I came up with a few, so this is kind of copyrighted, but I came up with a few things that have actually happened that have completely disrupted the world. So very quickly, I'm going to take you through them. What did Uber do? Or Kareem? What did Uber or Kareem do? What did Airbnb do? Travel easy, but what did they actually do? They found an opportunity, which was that people's cars were parked in their houses, yeah? That they weren't using. Airbnb saw that people had extra rooms in their house, right? They found a way to bring those parked cars, those rooms, into a business model. What is that? That is latent capacity. Find what latent capacity is around the venture that you're doing. That will significantly save you cost, number one. Uber did not invest in a fleet of taxis or in a fleet of, Airbnb did not invest in a fleet of hotels, but they have hotels all over the world. All over the world. Uber has taxis all over the world because they tapped into something called latent capacity. So if you want to go global, that's number one. Look at latent capacity. Number two, what did Netflix do and Facebook do? Do you know this idea of mass customization? Something that is done in mass, it's an oxymoron. If something is done in mass, it cannot be customized. If something is customized, it cannot be done in mass. Yeah? So if you go to a restaurant, you look at the menu and then you make a place an order. But because there are only 20 tables, you will get your order, what you wanted to order, you will get that. What if you go to a langar? Can you order? नहीं नहीं ये देग बन रही है पुलाव की ये नहीं चाहिए मुझे तो बिरयानी चाहिए. Can you do that? No, because that's mass. Thousands of people are at that langar. You can't have what you want. But at the restaurant, there are only 20 people, 40 people, 50 people, so you can have what you want. So what is done in mass is not customizable. What did Netflix do? Can you, when you open your Netflix, the things that you see, is it the same that she sees? No. Right? It's basically, yours is completely different from hers or hers or hers. Right? By the way, I'm really happy to see so many women in this room. It's really different. So they did something which is mass customization. Facebook did mass customization. All of our social media did mass customization. That's why we're hooked onto it, because we see what we like. There's obviously a bad side to it, because if we're Imran Khan lovers, we're only going to see Imran Khan lover things. If we're not, we're only, I mean, it has the potential to make a very polarized and intolerant society, because we only keep getting what we want to get. But that's besides, that's I mean, we keep getting the Kool-Aid that we want. But that's besides the point. The point is that mass customization is a huge opportunity. If you want to go global, see how you can provide mass customization within your ventures. Third thing is this idea, you know what Amazon, Facebook, so I was at Cisco as a global director. I used to be in meetings. You know what Cisco was obsessed with? What Facebook is obsessed with? I met number 3 in Facebook, who started Facebook in Australia. And he said the same thing. What is Facebook obsessed with? What is Amazon obsessed with? It is this idea of customer friction. How to remove customer friction. You know why they invest hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars into voice? Because it is friction for you to pick up your phone, open it, unlock it, and then type a command, search somebody's contact number, and then dial that person. It is friction. It is much easier to just say, hey Siri, can you dial Mr. X for me? It saves you a couple of seconds, but it really increases adoption rates, because we live in a world of instant gratification, where people are looking for instant gratification. So in your businesses, this is the last thing that I'm going to leave you with. If you want to go global, look at and find every place of friction and remove it. And if you're a new founder, go and find places of friction within existing ecosystems and create a business around removal of that friction. That's exactly what Netflix did. You had to actually go and go to a shop, buy a movie, rent a movie, and then come back to the house, see it. After that, you had to go and return it. Imagine how much friction that is. Versus you just take a few clicks, you open it, you just look at all the movies that you like are already there, being displayed. You choose a movie you want, you see it, that's it. Huge removal of friction. And that's what I did. So I looked at all these concepts, and when I founded My Impact Meter, I looked at the fact that in the social philanthropic sector, there were lots of points of friction. There were lots of points of distrust, problems with equitability. Not everybody was getting equal charity. There were people who were not getting anything, and some people who were asking were getting so much. There were problems with trust. There were problems with trackability, traceability, lots of issues. And how can I leverage technology to solve all those problems? That's how My Impact Meter came into being. So in all of your ventures, look at removal of friction, latent capacity, mass customization, significant reductions of cost, supply chain enhancements, significant reduction of cost due to removal of many points in the supply chain, significant reduction of time for delivery. Look at these I mean, the rest of these are more, like, they're more intuitive, they're easy. You probably have read them in some MBA somewhere or some article somewhere. But the first three that I said are more difficult. They're the ones that don't come to the mind rapidly. That's why I spoke about them. So I think this is it. I'm going to end over here. I think I've already used 50 minutes. Can we just give the audience time for like a little bit of question? Okay, 5 questions. Okay. All right. Thank you. एक मिनट के लिए तो मैं डर ही गई थी कि मेरे लिए तो तालियां नहीं बज रही यहाँ पे. Okay, guys, so any questions, guys? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very, very honored.
No, I don't have a question. This is
Firstly, I would like to say that this was one of the most deeply rooted discussions that we have had so far and I've heard in a long time. और मेरे ख्याल में कि जो आपने बात की ना एपी सेंटर वाली, that is at the very core of what most people ignore. और दूसरी बात कि जैसे आपने कहा कि इस दुनिया को जो है ना वो अल्लाह ताला ने हमें यहाँ पर भेजा है तो कुछ करने के लिए भेजा है, और इसको जब हमने छोड़ के सब ने जाना है तो we should leave it at a better place and our businesses should be bigger than us. Most of the founders, what I see as a founder, कि वो अपने आप को सबसे सेंट्रिक फिगर समझते हैं. Which should not be the case. आपकी जो efforts हैं, जो आपका business है, that should be the what you leave behind and what should really make a difference. और जैसा आपने very beautifully put कि हज़रत सलमान के बारे में कि उन्होंने क्यों जो है वो दुनिया को मांगा था, तो अल्लाह ताला ने खुद भी कुरान में यही कहा, रब्बना आतिना फिद दुनिया हसनतम व फिल आखिरति हसनतम व क़िना अज़ाबन्नार. पहले दुनिया के हसना मांगे, बाद में आखिरत के लिए कहा. और हम दुनिया में ही जो कर सकते हैं, that is what we do. And I think leaving the world a better place is an amazing idea. And thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you so much. एक पॉइंट जो आपने कहा है कि हम अपने आप को रखते हैं सेंटर में. We're now living in a world where there's वो पुराना होता था ना कि competitive forces होती थी, बहुत ज़्यादा competition होता था, कुछ आपके friends होते थे, कुछ आपके enemies होते थे. That world is far behind us now. We're living in a world of frenemies, where all our friends are also our enemies and all our enemies are also our friends, right? So in this ecosystem, especially from a business perspective, we have to think about how we can become the leader of that ecosystem while taking everybody else along. How we can drive kind of the forces of it, how we can dictate the forces of it, but make sure that everybody else comes along, because otherwise, if we put ourselves in the center and try and leave everybody else out, we'll not succeed. Because we just live in a different world now. Any other question?
Yes, ma'am. I have a question.
Ikigai, it's I-K-I-G-A-I. I-K-I-G-A-I. It was first coined by Miko Kamiya in 1969. He's a Japanese concept. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for insightful session. Although it is somewhat difficult for agricultural background person. I am Imran Hassan, founder of SenseGrain, working passionately for the food security. I have a question that my epicenter, now I was thinking what is the my epicenter. I am a dreamy. Is it positive or negative? Please comment. I am some far from realistic. Please guide me.
See, first of all, I think what you're doing is very commendable, because in Pakistan, where the land density is, it's just going away and everybody's going into real estate, and real estate is the worst kind of investment. And I mean, we can go into a completely different debate if I go into that. So kudos to you for doing something in agriculture, because that is, I mean, food security is definitely at the heart of impact as well. So epicenter, when it comes to epicenter, I would say find something that's an unchanging thing. Something that is, even if you're not a religious person, find something that is, rooted in principles, unchanging truths, universal truths, right? What are those universal truths? Everybody stands for something. So what are those universal truths for you? those should be, because everything else is, it's up and down, and you don't want to be that person. Jab koi tufan aata hai na, when a storm comes, all the things that are not rooted, that have no foundation, get wiped away by the storm, right? So be that someone who is rooted in something that's strong and unchanging. Yes. Okay, so guys, this is a very important question. I'm really glad you asked it. That if your startup is not at your epicenter, it's not something that keeps you up at night, then how? I mean, how do you deal with that fact that so many people are working for you and they're unprivileged people and you're in the pursuit of impact, but still I'm saying your epicenter should not be your startup. So let me define this in this way: that think of everything that's in the realm of creation as an ocean, right? And think of your epicenter as a boat. So if you start putting the ocean, the boat has to be on the ocean. The boat has to float on the ocean. It cannot be out of the ocean, right? That's the function of the boat. The boat has to be in the ocean. You have to float in it. But what happens when you start putting the ocean into the boat? It's not a rocket science question. What happens when you start putting the ocean into the boat? The boat drowns, right? That's exactly what it is. That you have to keep, yes, you have to worry about your business, you have to worry about your startup, that's exactly what you're doing, that's what you're in the world for, you have to create a difference. But anything that costs you your peace is a very expensive investment, right? So that's the thing. Don't make it the cost of your peace, right? And when you keep, for me, I'll just talk about myself. When I keep Allah or my God at my epicenter, I know He's infinite. I know He's limitless. Whatever happens, I try my best. I give it my 100%. I put in my 200%. But then the outcome is not my business, it's His business. And whatever the outcome, if things go according to my plan, I'm happy. But if things don't go according to my plan, I should be happier, because they are then going according to Allah's plan, and Allah's plan is superior to my plan. Right? Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Right
Okay.
after that, then you. Yes.
okay, so my question here.
Yeah. Yes.
So, आपने अपने जर्नी के बारे में बात की. You talked about you working Cisco and now you founded a startup, Impact Meter. I want to know more about it. What was your role in Cisco and why you left? How you left the journey, and how you founded this one? Is this your first startup or like अपने और भी
Second,
pivot?
yeah.
Second. And what is the like model of a service and what is the startup itself? And इसकी थोड़ी सी journey.
These are very detailed questions. I'll very quickly. So I was in Cisco doing very well, going on to a VP role. But then, marginal utility of money is limited. And I thought what my legacy was going to be. I thought when I was going to die, what was I going to go and say in front of God? You gave me all these resources, skills, money, all that. What did I do with it? And so I decided that I had to, do something else with it. And that's where my impact meter came into being. I found my ikigai, and my impact meter was my ikigai. It's a social startup where you really kind of streamline the social giving, and then I want to create a new motivation system for humanity which rewards people for doing good and also rewards them for their impact that they're creating in the world, because right now all our success measures are based on our net worth but not on our net impact worth. So I wanted to create something that measures your net impact worth as well. So that's why I came back to Pakistan. The first time I told my husband, I'm leaving Cisco and I'm doing this, he was like, I want to smoke what you're smoking. because you've lost your noodles. But yes, but Allah Ta'ala was very kind. He helped me in it, and this is how. So this is actually my third startup. So the first startup, I became part of a founding team of a NAS company, which is in Silicon Valley, which I said is now mashallah $500 million valuation. Second was Alplar Consulting, which is still something I do because I fund this through that. And then this is my third startup. So, and then there's multiple other facets to your answer, but there's not enough time. So we'll probably reconnect later. You had a question, yes. Can you give her the mic? Okay, last question.
Hi. So I actually had two sides to my question. The first, you already answered because she kind of like asked the question. The other one is just your perspective, anyways, and it still boils down to Epic Center, because I do hear a lot of founders say there's nothing like work-life balance, or should I say business-life balance. So I want to get your perspective on that because it's kind of like scary, right, as a founder myself too, because sometimes I find it difficult to like juggle personal life, work life, and I see myself like overworking myself because I want to get the best out of my startup and all of that.
So your questions around the epicenter, how you find balance in life exactly? Yes. So when your epicenter becomes an unchanging core, so let's say, so let me give you a very practical example, right? So let's say you had your son's drama practice while you also had a meeting, right? Now, if your core is your family, you will definitely miss that meeting and you'll go to the son's drama practice or drama rehearsal, whatever it is. If your epicenter is your work, you will definitely miss that drama and you will go to your work, right? You will consistently make those choices. You obviously have to make one or the other choice. You will always make one or the other choice. But depending on what your epicenter is, you will make one or the other choice. And both those choices are kind of not in balance because right now you're not thinking objectively on what is the more important thing at that moment. You are thinking from the core of either work or family. When you have principles in your center or God in your center, then you can objectively analyze, okay, this is the drama practice, how important this is, you put the pros and cons, and this is the meeting, how important is this particular meeting, what are the pros and cons, how will I handle this, how will I handle that, and then you objectively make a decision based on those principles. Right? So that's the difference. You still have to make the same. You will still end up making the same, either this or that. But the path to getting to that decision is where the magic happens. The path to getting to decisions that you make in your life is what makes the difference between living a life which feels fulfilled or living a life which feels extremely imbalanced and unfulfilled.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I would like to request you to please be on stage. I would like to invite Mr. Fakhar Abbas on stage to present souvenir to Ms. Kanwal Cheema. Please give her a huge round of applause. She has invested a lot of time and so much more in motivating you guys regarding your startups, right?